Okay, once you get the rebound dampener in the fork tube and sticking out the end, take the valve, put it on the end, make sure you seat it all the way, which it isn't right now, because I'm going to take it off and coat it in fork oil, and take the collar, coat it in fork oil, and seat it against the little ring that I told you not to take off. So in the end, it should look like that. Now comes the somewhat tricky part. The goal is to hold this assembly horizontal, insert it into the outer tube so that the valve and collar there seat up against there, the bottom end of the outer tube, and then I want to take this bolt, put some Loctite on it, and put it through that hole and screw it in. You're going to need your extension device with your 24mm bolt, and it might take a little bit. It took me about 20 minutes the first time. Once you have the fork damper bolt finger tight, you should be able to tilt the fork back and forth and only hear the fork damper spring going doing doing doing. I'll try to demonstrate. And there you have it. Now go back and torque it to 29 foot-pounds. This bolt, not that one. Fork damper bolt to 29 foot-pounds. Next thing to do is put the guide bushing and the backup ring on the inner fork tube. So coat them in oil, slide them over the top. If you have a fork seal driver, use that to pound them down into place. And if you don't, then just sort of very carefully use a screwdriver on two sides and push them down. And when you put this ring in, make sure that the slit is facing either left or right. So on here, left or right, slit is right there, not forward or back. Not sure why, that's just what the climber manual said. Once you get the guide bushing and the backup ring in place, take one of these plastic bags or some sort of plastic, saran wrap, whatever, put that over the top of the tube here so that the tube doesn't scratch up or ding or dent or damage in any way the oil seal or the dust seal, and then coat those in fork oil, put them over the top, slide them down, and same process, pound them in place. If you don't have the fork seal pounder and placer, then be even more careful pushing them down. But I can't recommend that. Your bike, do what you see fit. Once you get the seals down far enough to see the little lip in there for the spring, slide the spring over the top of the tube, put it down, and put it in the slot. Once you get the seal spring in, next is to fill the fork with oil. Check in the manual. It says, 14 to 14.3 ounces of fork oil. I'm going with 14. Just use a measuring cup. Be careful to get the same amount in both forks. And pour it in the top here. Once you do that, pump the fork a few times, a couple minutes worth, to get all the air bubbles out and get it in and around all the parts where it's supposed to be. Once you get the fork oil filled to your satisfaction, next is time to reinstall the spring. If you have a progressively wound, which this is not, make sure you put it the correct direction, and then put in this little guy that side down so it'll sit on the spring like that, and then the spacer, coat the O-ring and threads in fork oil, and then reinstall that. Once you get the cap back on, go ahead and install your fork boots. Not that piece of shit. New one. Ooh. After you get the bridge pinch bolts all tightened to 18 foot-pounds, next is time to torque the tube caps down to 21 foot-pounds or 252 inch-pounds, whichever works for you. Once you get the front wheel back on and the brakes remounted, then you're done with servicing your forks. Hope you enjoyed this. Please rate and leave comments. Thank you.